Hi, fifth graders. It's Mrs. Farrell from Emerson and Madison. For today's number talk, we're going to do a which one doesn't belong. So I'm going to ask you to look at these four boxes, these four numbers, and decide which one of these numbers does not belong with the other three. So what characteristic do three of the numbers have that the fourth one does not share? I went ahead and numbered them 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you have your, go ahead and pause and think about it. And then when you have your answer, you can go ahead and unpause. Okay, so now that you've thought of which one doesn't belong, I want you to go ahead and think of a different number that doesn't belong. In fact, what I'd like you to do is go through and think, is there a way that you could prove that each one of these does not belong with the other three? So I'm asking you to think about each of these numbers and decide how it does not fit with the other three numbers. So again, give yourself some time to think it through, and then I'll share my thinking with you. All right, if you're ready and you've thought of all these different numbers and how they don't fit with the other three, we'll go ahead and get started. So number 1 stood out to me right away because I noticed it was the only number that is negative. So negative 1/4 does not fit with 40%, 1/6, and 3/2 because these are all positive numbers, whereas this is a negative. So that's why I thought number 1 didn't belong. You may agree with me, or you may have a different way of looking at it. Go ahead and share with someone around you if that's the case. For number 2, that one also stood out to me because it was the only number that was not a fraction. Negative 1/4, 3/2, and 1/6 are all fractions, whereas here we have a percentage, 40%. So 40% does not belong with these other three. For 3/2, number 3, my thinking was that this is the only number that is greater than 1. 3/2 is actually equivalent to 1 1/2, whereas 40% and 1/6 and then negative 1/4, those are all numbers that are less than 1. 3/2 was the only number that was greater than 1. So that's why I don't think number 3 belongs with the other three numbers. And then as I was looking at number 4, I thought this is a unit fraction. Really, we have a unit fraction here, but it's negative. But 1/6 is the only positive unit fraction that we have here. Unit fraction is when we have only one piece of that whole, right? So 1/6, 1 out of 6 pieces is considered a unit fraction. If I'm looking at 40%, that's not going to be equivalent to a unit fraction here. That would be maybe 4/10 or maybe 2/5 in simplest form. And then 3/2 again is 1 1/2. So that's not a unit fraction. And while negative 1/4 does have that unit fraction in the unit in the numerator, it is not a positive unit fraction. So that's why I was thinking 1/6 doesn't belong with the other three. Again, you may have thought of this a little bit differently. Share with someone around you. And thanks for listening today. Have a great day.